I want the whole world to know that Louisville, Kentucky produces the greatest of all time. Hospitalize a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
Might be something, and that might be all, ladies and gentlemen.
Bodine, tell him, what are we going to do? We're going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I'm going to show them all who the real champion of the world is.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a very special hour we have for you. Muhammad Ali, Louisville's greatest. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Melissa Swan. Over the next hour, we'll take a look at how a young man from West Louisville became the most recognized athlete in the entire world.
There are many elements to Muhammad Ali's life, from the beginning right here in Louisville to his last fight in the Bahamas. Ali fought hundreds of battles, most inside the ring, but perhaps his biggest battle was in the courthouse. And one of his fights happened inside a television studio with his good friend, ABC's Howard Cosell, as the referee. We began tonight with a look at Ali's life on Grand Avenue in West Louisville with some people who knew him before the world did. Here's WHS 11's Alex Schumann.
People can build a house, but a home in its neighborhood can also help build a person.
He'd have me to put my hands up where he would spar into my hands. And he told me then that he was going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. I said, oh boy, you're crazy. There's no way. But he proved me wrong.
I knew that in that environment, in that block on Grand Avenue, in that community, that he developed his character from these people, because we all the young people did.
Former Senator Georgia Powers and her brother, Lawrence Montgomery, lived near Muhammad Ali on Grand Avenue.
Ali was a great, great friend of mine. I knew him since he was about 4 or 5 years old.
And I have this one picture of Ali when he was about 6 years old, sitting on a little red wagon.
Powers is writing a book on Ali's childhood. She remembers the times he spent with her brother and how she would stop when walking the street and give Ali and his brother, then called Rudy, some candy.
And they'd be sitting on the steps naming cars, whether it's a Packard or this kind of car, naming different cars. And I'd stop and talk to them.
They would look out at Grand Avenue, an integrated street where 13 teachers, lawyers, and bankers lived.
And they were all friendly and they would correct you.
Lawrence and Powers are among those who molded Ali. He would babysit for Lawrence, who would pay the future legend with ice cream or bologna sandwiches.
That's right. He's just like little brother. Just like little brother. I'm 8 years older than he. And of course, he's running up and down the street all the time, in and out our houses, like you say.
They watched Cassius Clay become Ali and watched Ali grow into an international figure. He'd still come back to Grand Avenue now and then.
He would come back home and he'd come to my door at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, knock on the door, bang on the door. Wake up, everybody, wake up, it's me. I'm here to see you. I want to see all my old friends. And we just had a joyous time together.
And I was shocked when they called him the Louisville Lip and he was doing all that talking. I thought, when did he do all that talking? Because I talked to him and he didn't say much.
They don't get to speak to the former boxer much anymore, but that distance hasn't damaged the strength of their friendship.
I don't care where I am or where they are. When I walk in, it'd be 1,000 people. Each one of those boys will come to me, they're men now, and they will hug me and tell me, I love you, he said, because you were so nice to us as little boys.
Lawrence still keeps photos and all kinds of memorabilia from Ali, including a photo or two from when he came with Ali to WHAS TV.
Well, that was really nice. Gary Rodemeyer and Milton Metz, Gene West, Donna Lacey, they all were there.
Through all the awards, the victories, and the challenges, Lawrence and Powers are among the few who witnessed Ali's transformation from a determined young boy into a worldwide symbol of strength.
Just what he says, he's the greatest. Always has been the greatest and always will be the greatest.
That was Alex Schumann reporting for us. Lawrence Montgomery still lives near Ali's boyhood home and is 80 years old, and his sister, former state senator Georgia Davis Powers, is 91.
So funny, she says she was shocked that he was called the Louisville Lip. Well, Powers served as Kentucky's first woman and first African American in the state legislature in Frankfort. She's working on publishing a book on Muhammad Ali. As we mark 50 years since that phantom punch that knocked out Sonny Liston, we take a look back at some of Ali's most memorable boxing matches.
And it's considered the most controversial time of his life, Muhammad Ali's refusal to be inducted into the Army, and how it kept him from his life's work.
I'm Ken Spencer at the Ali Center. Whether he was Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali, one thing was for certain. Anytime he stepped in a ring, you knew you were going to see something special. And when it came to his bouts with Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman, they can now forever be called the greatest fights of all time.
Bodine, tell him, what are we going to do? You're going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Furious power, blistering speed. That combination defined 22-year-old Cassius Clay both in and out of the ring.
If Sonny Liston whoops me, I'll kick his feet in the ring.
The Louisville Lip was the #1 contender, also a 7-1 heavy underdog to the heavyweight champ, Sonny Liston. In that ring in Miami, Cassius Clay changed the landscape of boxing.
Seconds remaining in the sixth.
After a dominant 6th round, Liston didn't come out for a 7th.
They might be stopping it. That might be all, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the world.
9 days later, Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali. 7 years later, he'd meet the greatest competition of his life.
Sit down quick, Joe.
The first fight with Frazier would be deemed the fight of the century. Packed Madison Square Garden sat stunned as Ali lost the fight by unanimous decision. The rivalry with Frazier blossomed into a rematch, a fight Ali would win, forcing a third and deciding bout, the Thrilla in Manila.
Frazier looks awful tired. Is pushed around both eyes now.
In that third fight, Ali came out victorious, retaining his title. But how he got that title might be due to the greatest strategy of Ali's career.
This is an awesome power of George Foreman against the varied boxing skills of Muhammad Ali.
The Rumble in the Jungle. Ali took on George Foreman, a fighter whose power was unmatched. So Ali tired Foreman with a strategy that will forever be known as the rope-a-dope.
And he worked over the shoulder of Foreman.
Toward the end of his career, Ali was already a 2-time world heavyweight champion. Again, revenge took center stage. At the age of 36, Muhammad Ali lost his title to Leon Spinks in a split decision. 7 months later, the two squared off again. Ali had become boxing's first 3-time heavyweight champ. Furious power, blistering speed. The greatest of all time. Muhammad Ali fought his last fight on December 11, 1981 against Trevor Berbick in Nassau, Bahamas. Ali lost a unanimous 10-round decision in that fight. It was his second attempt at a comeback from retirement. 3 years later, Muhammad Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Ken Spencer, WHAS 11 Sports.
Many boxing writers and historians believe the series of fights between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier are among the best in history.
Well, they were brutal fights between boxers who had a rancorous relationship outside the ring as well, even in the television studios. That's when Ali's good friend Howard Cosell became the referee.
What a moment. Joe Frazier, considered the best puncher in the world, against Ali, the best boxer. Ali wanted his title back, but he faced a man who charged straight ahead, Smokin' Joe Frazier. For Ali's comeback, it was too much too fast. Frazier would retain his crown. 3 judges were unanimous. The two fighters were not cordial. And in this video, they were describing the fight for Howard Cosell on ABC's Wide World of Sports, a fight that left both men battered. Frazier's face was so swollen, it was soaked in ice water for hours. Ali went to the hospital for an x-ray of a swollen jaw, but he refused to stay for fear that someone would say Frazier put him there. On that program, those old wounds and bitterness erupted in public.
Why you bring up the hospital? I went to the hospital for why you figure I'm ignorant? I went to the hospital for why you think I'm ignorant? Man, you know, sit down. Sit down, man. Sit down, Joe. Why you think I'm ignorant? Sit down, Joe. Huh? Sit down quick. Why you think I'm ignorant? The brothers are here. You doing this too? No. Sit down quick, Joe.
Well, we're having a scene, as you can see, and it's hard to tell whether it's clowning or for real between the two fighters. This kind of thing has been going on all along in terms of promotion of the fight, and this time it seems to be for real, because Joe Frazier is really angry. Muhammad called him ignorant, and he's really angry. I don't think this one is clowning at all. It's a bad and an ugly scene, and it's unfortunate, I think, that it's happened in the middle of showing a classic fight between two extraordinary athletes. I think that Ali is probably clowning, but there is no question in my mind that Joe Frazier is not clowning.
It was a public warm-up for the second Ali-Frazier fight, and it was great publicity. The New York Athletic Commission, though, fined both Ali and Frazier $5,000 apiece for deplorable conduct. And 4 days later, Ali boxed his way to a 12-round decision over Joe Frazier.
And coming up, Ali's boxing career spirals out of control after his refusal to be inducted into the Army. The battle moved from the ring all the way to the Supreme Court.
And then getting up close and personal with Ali. Former WHAS 11 sports director Dave Conrad spent time with the champ and his trainer Angelo Dundee. We'll talk with Dave later in our program.
It is perhaps the most controversial part of Muhammad Ali's life, the story of a man who was exiled in his own country.
There are many elements to Ali's life, but his profession was boxing. Now he's banished from the sport, unable to work at his job.
In 1966, there was a fight in a foreign land. American young people the same age as Muhammad Ali were bleeding and dying in Southeast Asia. The country was dividing. With the Vietnam War raging, Muhammad Ali was reclassified 1A and eligible for the draft. Now Ali was under surveillance by the FBI and fighting the federal government. Former WHAS 11 sports anchor Kaywood Ledford.
Very serious about his religion and about not fighting in Vietnam because of his religion. And it was on a WHAS sports program that he really, for the first time, a lot of people had guessed, but he had said, I got nothing against them Viet Congs. And then it was like a day or two when he refused to be inducted into the military.
A fight in Chicago was canceled just on the basis of that Viet Cong remark. The Kentucky Senate, which had honored him 6 years before, condemned Ali, saying he brought discredit to the state. So Muhammad Ali took his fight on the road, fighting in other countries, Canada, Great Britain, and Germany. But finally, a moment of truth, a call for induction into the Army. On April 28, 1967, Ali refused, and by June he was entering a federal courthouse to be sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined $10,000. Boxing commissions in many states had already taken his license away to box, his passport revoked, and he couldn't fight overseas. Ali was in exile in his own country.
Probably his best years, he was not permitted to fight. I mean, he was right at the very pinnacle of his physical maturity and his mental maturity. So he missed 4 great years that he didn't get to fight anybody, which makes his record even more remarkable.
So to make a living, Ali hit the lecture circuit at colleges and churches, preaching messages of freedom.
I am a follower of another freedom fighter, another man who's here in America. His name is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. After accepting his teachings, I found freedom.
One pill makes you larger.
But the freedom to fight was something else. The greatest fighter in the world would not practice his craft for another 3.5 years.
Well, many people in the country wanted Ali to join the military because they thought the sight of one of the world's most powerful fighters joining the U.S. Army would send a strong message and help the draft. Others believe that Ali's exile from fighting made the rest of his life all the more remarkable. Muhammad Ali would return and capture the heavyweight title 3 more times, making up for lost time. In 1970, a federal judge reinstated Ali, ruling the New York Athletic Commission violated Ali's constitutional rights when it banned him from boxing.
You have seen a lot of Muhammad Ali, but we guarantee you've never seen him like this. WHAS 11's former sports director Dave Conrad got private access to the champ, his training camp, and trainer Angelo Dundee. We'll talk with Dave about his experience when we come back.
If I get any better, I'll be scared of myself. I want you too.
You want to try me on right now?
Is it true blondes have more fun?
Yes, sir. You betcha.
Well, what a treasure here in our film archives at the station. You know, we found it, the video of former WHAS 11 sports director Dave Conrad, who's with us, and of course Muhammad Ali. And Dave, who spent 17 years with us, had unprecedented access to Ali and Angelo Dundee at their training facility in Pennsylvania. That was from 1978.
It is great, and Dave still lives here in Kentucky, and he joins us now to talk about his time with Muhammad Ali. We want to thank you for coming in, and we've been sitting here talking about Dave and his 2 days in Pennsylvania with Ali, and you said you can tell from that clip he was incredibly approachable.
And you're still blonde, by the way.
Just not as much. He was magic. And the thing that struck me when I was there and I'm walking around the ring as he's sparring, this is in preparation for the second fight against Spinks. And there are tourists circling the ring and no one is saying anything. They're just in awe looking at this guy. I mean, he was three-dimensional. I mean, he just popped out at people.
So in that clip that we just saw, you're just doing an interview with him, asking him questions, and he goes off on the tangent like that? Is that what happened?
That's exactly the way he was. I mean, the man was in charge at all times. He was on at all times.
Now, you have said that there are so many people that you have met now, recently, still so impressed that you spent this time with Ali.
Well, and what's so unusual about it is, as you all know, when you're with people doing a story of any kind, it's just your job. You don't realize at the time the magnitude of it, how big that he was at that time, let alone now.
Now, this was a documentary piece you did for WHAS in '78. Why were you going up there? What was the assignment? What did you expect to get out of it? You know, what surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most would have been his accessibility. Whenever you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. And we were able to be with him in his quarters one evening right after dinner. Family was there. Layla was, 6, 7, 8 months of age at that time?
Just recently born when you were
Another champion coming along the way. And the kids are crawling all over him. He's leaning up against the headboard. They're looking at video of the first fight against Spinks. And the kids won't let him alone. I mean, they're crawling all over Dad. And he loves it. He just had that magnetism that you rarely see in a lifetime. And he filled it up.
When you look at that now, Dave, what runs through your mind, that color film?
All my hair. No, it's just that you're a part of history. It enables you to put things in perspective. I've had such a great time in Louisville. Opportunities such as this. What a great place up in Pennsylvania with his camp. Being able to talk with him, with Bundini Brown, with that man right there who trained 2 world champions, Angelo Dundee, also trained Sugar Ray Leonard. I still have the boxing gloves signed by Sugar Ray. I never got anything signed by Muhammad Ali. Can you believe that?
Huge oversight there, Dave.
Yes.
Huh?
Now, this would have been 8 years before he announced his Parkinson's diagnosis, too, as well.
Yes, back in '78. And then he came back and beat Spinks, of course, to regain a championship for the second time. And then he beats Foreman and gets it for the third time.
Is there one thing that you'll take away from that experience that you'll always keep that's number one with you?
His ability to identify with everyone. He never met someone that he was not connected to. He was that kind of person. He would draw people in and encircle them. And the amazing thing is he always made the other person feel like they were the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dave, for leaving us a treasure in the archives. That piece is amazing, and it's very lengthy, but it is one of a kind.
Great memories for me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in and telling us about it.
My pleasure.
It is one of the crown jewels of the city. A look inside the Muhammad Ali Center when we come back.
You know, I go all the way back with Muhammad Ali to Smoketown. My mom and dad had a 3-aisle grocery on Preston and Jacob Street. And Ali used to come in as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, run around the grocery, grab an apple and run out the grocery's front door. And my dad would just, you know, laugh and laugh. He's just the cutest little kid. First time I think I met Ali, I said, Champ, my name is Jerry Abramson. You knew my mom and dad at Abramson's Market at Preston and Jacob. And he leaned over and says, yeah, and I used to steal the apples. So he remembered, you know. He was just a great young man even then with a great smile and a wonderful sense of humor.
And now today, it really is one of the jewels of our city, the Muhammad Ali Center in downtown Louisville.
More than a dozen years in the planning and another 15 months under construction. The Ali Center opened in November of 2005. Now, more than 80,000 people tour that center every year. They come from more than 110 countries. But the center isn't just about boxing. It embodies Ali's 6 core values: respect, confidence, conviction, charity, spirituality, and dedication.
He had these values, he stuck with them, and today, just look at the Muhammad Ali Center. It's all here, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The parts of his life that he probably isn't necessarily proud of, but it's part of who he was and who he is. And he has never, ever deviated from his convictions.
It doesn't have to be sports, but if you have a goal to achieve anything in your life, whether it's to be an artist, whether it's to be a doctor, whether it's to be a teacher or a nurse, you just have to be dedicated to it.
Tori Murden McClure worked with Ali when the center was just a dream. She says Ali encouraged her to conquer her goal of rowing solo across the ocean even after a torturous, unsuccessful first attempt.
He understood I had been knocked down and I needed help to get back up. And he understood that perhaps better than anyone in the world because he himself had been knocked down.
Again, the Ali Center will be celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. To learn more, you can log on to our website. It's WHIS11.com.
Some of the pictures we've been showing you right here have been provided to us by the Courier-Journal. We're going to talk with news photographer and CJ archivist Pat McDonough about those photos next. Muhammad Ali's longtime trainer Angelo Dundee sat down with us in January of 2012, right before Muhammad's 70th birthday at the Ali Center downtown. Dundee was best known for being in Ali's corner for almost his entire career. He was not only a cornerman, but a brilliant motivator who coached hundreds of young men. But he says it was Ali's determination that led the way to his success.
he would run from Miami to my gym, which was like 7 miles. Train, go back, he didn't have transportation. But he always had this thing about wanting a tomato red Cadillac. I don't know where that came from, but I found out later on that Ray Robinson had a tomato red Cadillac. So we got him, the Louisville group were nice enough to get him a tomato red Cadillac. And he would drive around Miami Beach with open, you know. In fact, he'd prick me up and say, hey, that's my trainer, Angelo, you know, bragging on me. We had so much fun. The nicest thing that ever happened to the human race. Great kid, great for any sport, great for any, he would have been great in any sport. But the best sport was boxing.
Less than a month after that interview, Angelo Dundee died in Florida at the age of 90.
Well, in January, Muhammad Ali celebrated his 73rd birthday, and after 2 visits to the hospital, he opted to spend the night with family. But that didn't stop hundreds from celebrating right here in Louisville. A private dinner and reception at the Ali Center, and then the world premiere of a play. It was called And in This Corner, Cassius Clay, at the Kentucky Center for the Arts. Marilyn Williams is Ali's sister-in-law and has been his caregiver for the past 8 years.
When he did go into the hospital, we had a little surprise, and our friends and family definitely sent prayer. We asked for prayer, and they were answered, and Muhammad just went straight up. Muhammad never let Parkinson beat him in any fashion or form. It may have slowed him down in walking, a little bit in talking. He still talks in the morning. People think that he doesn't talk, but he does. It might have slowed him down a little bit in movement and stuff, but no, Muhammad is still moving, and it's amazing. Muhammad is an unbelievable individual. To have Parkinson's as long as he has had it, his spirit is so beautiful.
Ali was treated for a urinary tract infection, and Marilyn Williams is Lonnie Ali's sister and says she is continually blown away by the support the city and millions of others show to Muhammad Ali.
Well, from that tomato red Cadillac to the other photographs you're watching right here tonight. A lot of those photos have been provided to us by the Courier-Journal, our news partner. And joining us now to take a closer look at some of the pictures is Pat McDonough. Pat's a longtime news photographer. He's also the archivist at the Courier-Journal. Pat, you went through the archives. Must have been so much fun. What year, the earliest photograph you can find of, I guess, Cassius Clay?
Probably 1959 when he started in Golden Gloves, and he was with Joe Martin, his mentor.
It must be a treasure trove of Muhammad Ali photographs over there at the Courier-Journal. What stands out in your mind about some of those that you ran across when you were looking through them?
Well, the access that we had at that time, and we were, we're very well known for our photography over the years, and he just gave us great access. We would at his training camp, at his home.
What's this one with all the signs around him?
That was an illustration that the Courier put together to basically show his dimensions, his height, his reach. Life magazine did a really cool illustration where they ran a picture of his fist in actual size. And the amazing thing was you had to put your fist down to compare it in size to Ali's.
And some of the pictures, like this one right here, Ali with children. So many people that I talk to say when he's with children, he's like a magnet. They love Muhammad Ali, and you've actually witnessed some of this as well.
Yes, I have. I've photographed him several times, and he seems to be drawn to children and has a good time with them. And he always when I was around him, he was always doing magic tricks, and he was just a natural-born entertainer.
The black and white photographs always seem to me, it always seems to reveal an exciting, electric time. Louisville just looks so alive, and boxing was the focus of a major sport at the time. And do you get that sense when you look at it?
Yes, and Louisville was the home of 3 champions with Ali, Jimmy Ellis, and Rudell Stitch. So, and they were all pretty much the same age. Rudell Stitch came along a little before Ali, but how did that happen that we have 3 great champions you know, pretty much at the same time from one city.
And we're seeing him here now with a child, Muhammad Ali, later years here. Was this at the Muhammad Ali Center?
Yes, it was. It was by one of our freelance photographers, Aaron Borton. It's just a nice moment with the little boy looking up at Ali.
Do you, when you see the younger Cassius Clay, do you see an innocence there, or do you see the fierce fighter that we later?
No, I think looking at his face, you'd never think that he was the greatest boxer ever. You know, he was a very handsome man, and you know, he didn't really show the scars of boxing until much later in life.
And there's a sweetness in that face as well. One thing that I noticed from all of the pictures is when we go from Cassius Clay and the young Ali to Ali in his later life, he became so bulked up, of course. There is a transformation in his body that is just incredible.
That's true. And I hadn't really thought about that, but there's a photo of him with Joe Martin when he was just a teenager, and he really did become quite a big man.
How are they stored at the Courier-Journal? Do you still find things that you're going, aha?
Yeah. I've found a few that had really not seen the light of day. They're stored in negative sleeves and then in envelopes. And then, you know, when the photographer would go through and edit, there might be one photograph that doesn't make the cut. But for some reason, over time, when you look at it now, there's some pertinence to it that might not have been there then.
How many Ali photographs do you think you have? Is there a number run through your mind?
No, hundreds, hundreds that are scanned and printed. Yeah.
Do you get requests for them? Do people call and ask if they can buy them?
Yes, we do.
His legacy is big, and people are going down memory lanes. Thank you so much, Pat, for coming in. Wonderful job finding these photographs for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And still ahead here on our special tonight, 3 Louisville natives on national TV. A look at Muhammad and Lonnie's interview with Diane Sawyer on Good Morning America.
And welcome back, everyone. You know, the champ is a father of 9 children, and he's been married 4 times.
He met his match in someone that he'd known almost his life. Yolanda Williams was 6 years old, and Muhammad Ali was 22 when they met in 1964. They married in 1986. Lonnie, as she is known today, and Muhammad sat down with another Louisville native, Diane Sawyer, on ABC's Good Morning America 13 years later. Lonnie told Diane what it's like being married to the champ.
You know, Diane, actually, I never looked at Muhammad like that because I guess I grew up watching him and being around him, and to me, he was just another guy. But I think maybe that's what has made us last, is because I treat him like an individual. I don't treat him like a superstar.
Sorry. And none too happy about that sometimes.
But it's not that I don't recognize his significance, because I do. I understand what he means to this world.
Lonnie and Muhammad have one son together. They adopted Assad. Assad, right here, once played baseball for the University of Louisville. You know, if you look at the old photographs of Muhammad Ali when he was the heavyweight champ, most of the time when you glance over his shoulder, you'll see Rahman Ali. He's the former Rudy Clay, Muhammad Ali's younger brother.
That's right, and Rahman was an excellent amateur boxer in his own right and a Golden Gloves champion. But his brother was the greatest. They grew up together in West Louisville. It's a story of boxing and brotherly love. Here's WHAS 11's Gary Rodemeyer.
They are brothers, 18 months apart. 18 months between the main event and the undercard. 18 months between the champ and his sparring partner. 18 months between the greatest and his little brother. Rahman Ali has lived in his brother's shadow for 70 years, but there's a lot of brotherly love, and the last few years have been tough as Rahman watched Muhammad's declining health.
Parkinson's disease is very bad. It's bad. It's a mean disease. It destroys your body. He's in very bad shape, but his mind is good. His mind is clear. I said, champion, he looked at me. He smiled.
And you can actually see the family resemblance as Rahman replicates his brother's smile. And now, Ali's brother has joined with writer Ron Brashear to tell his story.
Man, this brother was like a bodyguard to Muhammad Ali. He was right by his side through all those times, and I just think it's a remarkable story.
From the adoring crowds in New York to the jungles of Zaire, Rahman was a brother and more.
He said Rahman was his best sparring partner. I mean, he would come at him and Ali would say, "Fool, back off me." And Rahman would say, "No, I'm not going to back off you. The guy you're fighting, I'm going to get you ready to win this fight. The guy you're fighting is not going to back up off of you."
Sometimes you should get good and peeved at him because the brother is trying to knock him out.
Rahman says that sparring against his brother was hard work. If you weren't careful, the champ would knock your brains out. But Rahman had his moments.
Did you catch him a couple of times?
Many times. But he was so great it didn't hurt him.
The brothers always seemed to be together, oddly enough, even in defeat.
These two fighters lost their first professional fight on the same card. They both came to Madison Square Garden undefeated. That is history within itself.
It was March 8, 1971. Joe Frazier would defeat Muhammad Ali in 15 rounds. Rahman lost a 6-rounder on the undercard. Ron Brashear listened to the fight like a lot of people in Louisville on the radio.
I was 8 years old listening to a radio. We didn't get the live broadcast. They would come on and give a recap after the round. And I'll never forget crying in 1971 that they come on and said he was knocked down and Joe Frazier wins. Broke my heart.
But Ali would eventually bounce back to beat Joe Frazier and reclaim the championship. Rahman Ali says he always had confidence in his brother, saying he was born for greatness. And between the two, there has always been 18 months and a special bond.
I love my brother tremendously. He's just a big sweetheart. He loves everybody. He's a nice man, Gary. He's a nice man, a wonderful man.
Rahman Ali was known in Louisville's West End as Rudy Clay when he was growing up, but now he is best known as Muhammad Ali's brother.
Our Gary Rodemeyer reporting for us, and Rahman Ali's memories are a very personal history.
It's one man's story of how his life and family were changed when his brother became the most recognized face in the world. And Melissa, on the humorous side, you know, Rahman says, and he says this in his book, that no one took more punches from Muhammad Ali than he did.
That's right.
The only man living who took more punches.
He was his sparring partner, that's right.
So he inspired me to be the best I could be.
Still ahead, some of Louisville's best in sports got their inspiration from the man known as the greatest, how Ali is still giving children hope for a better future. More than 33 years after his last fight, Muhammad Ali is still showing that he has staying power.
That's for sure. Sports brand Under Armour announced a deal to make an extensive line of Ali-inspired products. They'll feature a lifestyle apparel line. Ali's name and image will be on training apparel, footwear, and accessories.
It's an inspiration for all athletes, and Ali's confidence is still inspiring some champs right here at home, as WHAS 11's Rachel Platt explains.
It was a knockout punch in the 8th round that took George Foreman down. Ali had predicted his opponent would be on his face after the 10th. Those bold predictions inspiring the next generation.
Ali, come on. I mean, I watched him. Golly, I mean, I just used to love watching this fight. Remember, my dad used to sit down and listen to his fights because you couldn't see him.
Right.
And then they started closed-circuit TV.
One of the last pictures taken of Daryl Griffith and his dad was at the Ali Center, both huge fans.
This will be the biggest contest in the history.
That charisma, that confidence, those predictions being channeled by young people everywhere, including a young Daryl Griffith, as he announced he would attend U of L and bring home a national championship.
The reason why, when I at the press conference that I said before I leave I was going to win a national championship, that all came from Muhammad Ali. Watching, watching Ali predict rounds that he was going to knock people out in, that inspired me.
And like so many of Ali's predictions, Griffith's came true as well. Griff saying it was all about setting goals and believing.
I'm going to be champ.
Derek Anderson.
Look at Derek Anderson.
Holy cow.
Those words inspiring another champ from another team, UK's Derek Anderson. He said when Ali spoke it, he meant it, and taught him to as well.
Holy cow! Derek Anderson flying in.
And I was like, I want to make it. You know, I started saying the exact same thing. I'm going to be a champ. I'm going to be a champ. And as life would have it, I was a champ just because he said it. He put it in my mind that I could be that. And it never met him.
Anderson would meet him in 1994 for the first time when Ali came to a UK game.
First time I met him, the conversation was, I'm a champion because you gave me hope. And he looked at me and was like, you know, it was in 1994, and when he did that, he was like, be great.
Anderson pops a three.
The greatest telling you to be great, life-changing. And because he was from here and a man of color, even more special.
Well, if this guy made it, and he's from the same area I am, why come I can't? And to me, it was that, and being a man of color, I thought it was really significant that he actually showed that, you know, his determination didn't care what his race was.
The thrill of Ali, the magnitude of his influence, still evident in this smile when we took Derek Anderson into our film archives and he got to touch those old films of Ali's fights. Anderson says he would watch those fights for inspiration before big basketball games and use that Ali grin to his advantage.
He would look at you and do something and just smile. And that's what I did. I'm like, I'm just gonna smile to let you know I'm about to tear you up.
So many generations, so many greats inspired by the greatest. His influence still at work.
And in case you wanted to learn more about anything about Muhammad Ali, the iconic fight in Zaire, there's plenty of information about it at the Ali Museum. If you haven't paid them a visit, it's definitely an experience that you and your family will enjoy.
And we continue to ask you, be sure to send us your thoughts and photos of Muhammad Ali. You can either log onto our website, WHAS11.com, or find WHAS11 right on Facebook. And we want to thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Good night.
Good night.